Previously on CSIS 2470.
We've refreshed our brains about variables, arrays, and operators. We've also remembered how to get our heads around the DOM. We've also remembered what the heck the DOM is and how to interact with it.
CSIS 2470 is filmed before a live studio audience.
So now it's time to move onward and upward with new, better things in JavaScript. Brand new material today, folks, and here we go. Besides the one method we already know, getElementById, there are other ways you can target your HTML. We're going to use all four of these today. First one we know. The second one, getElementsByTagName. I'm going to guess that you can probably suss out what that's going to do. We'll be able to select a whole bunch of tags that are all the same tag. The next two, querySelector and querySelectorAll, they do the same thing. The difference between the two being that querySelector grabs the first one of the thing. We'll talk about what the thing is in a second. And querySelectorAll grabs all of the things. So what are the things? The parameter that goes in those parentheses is literally any CSS selector. If you can target your CSS with a selector, then you can put it in those parentheses. Before we dive into these four options here, let's take a look at the project we're going to be building. So this is a simple project. It's kind of hideous and ugly, but the whole idea is we're going to learn four new functions here that allow us to target HTML. So here's the functioning site that we're about to build here in the next few minutes. Right now, as you can see, it's completely unstyled, but when I click on that Style Me button, it applies some styles. Now, I'm not claiming these are good styles. I'm just showing you what happens. Now you'll notice the button now says Unstyle Me, so when I click it again, it goes back to this. That's the project, and we're about to dive into it right now. There ain't nothing to it but to do it. Do the code. So I've already got the skeleton of this built out. I have no JavaScript written. I do have the CSS here. These are all just a bunch of different classes: body, layout, main, focus, where the class, of course, is focus, layout, bullets. Don't worry about what they do. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what we're going to do is figure out how to use JavaScript to add the class to the body or to the UL or to the LIs or to the strong tags or whatever. When we click that Style Me button, it's going to add all of those classes, and it's going to turn this page into something that's decent to look at. That's the basic idea. So let's start like we've done before. We did this last time where we just, on the button there, we're going to add a function, right? So using the onClick. So onClick, we'll make a function called Style Me. Why not? So there we go. Let's just head over to our JavaScript and start building that thing. So function Style Me. And again, we always want to test to make sure that we're connected. And so we real quick come over here, open up our console and click Style Me. We'll refresh it first and then click Style Me, and we're connected. Okay, good enough. So let's start with some simple things. We already know how to select by ID, right? So let's just start there. And we're going to apply to this ID, this call to action thing. We're going to target this ID using getElementById like we've done before, and we're going to add a class to it. So we come over here and we will just simply get that by saying let paragraph equal document.getElementById, and it is call to action. That is the name of that paragraph. So now I have that paragraph, and I'm just going to add a class to it, right? Well, in the past, you may have learned about this, where we can say class equal, and we'll call it, I believe it's called main paragraph. So this should work. Let's just test this, refresh, and it's just going to add that class to right here. And let's just look at it in the elements here. And here is the paragraph. So you watch right here, a class should appear and it should style this up. So here we go. And you made it bigger, and it also changed the font slightly. You notice it's not quite as dark as the Stone Cold Links up here, and it changed that a little bit. Now that might be too big, and we can play with the actual CSS later, but this worked. And if you look over here, you can see the P. There's now a thing called main paragraph there, and the main paragraph, it just changes the font size and the color. That's basically it. However, this class name, the problem with class name, what if I wanted to have 2 class names or 3 class names or 4 class names on there? Well, class name just overwrites whatever's there. So there's a new one that we haven't learned before, and here it is. It's class list.add, and it's actually a function. So we're going to say class list.add main paragraph right there, right? We do that and it's the exact same effect, but now we're able to add multiple classes if we want to. So refresh it, click the button, and it added the class and it works just fine. We're just going to keep doing this a piece at a time to each one of these things, right? So get element by ID, that's one we already know. We're not going to do that one again. So next up, let's play around with that other one called get element by tag name. And what I want to do is get all of the LIs and just apply a class to all of the LIs, right? So how do we do that? Well, it's a little trickier than you might think. Let's start simple here though. And we will get this, we'll call it LIs equals document.get elements tag name. And what tag name? We want to get the LI tag. Simple enough. But that LIS, because there's multiple, or it's not LIS, it's LIs, right? It's plural. Whatever we call this doesn't matter. But it's an array is the point, right? So if I console this out, console.log LIs, let's take a look here. Go to console, refresh the page. When I click the button here, you'll notice it actually printed out the LIs variable, which is an array that holds 3 actual LI objects, right? And you can see this is the first LI, right? It's this one right here. And if we dig down, you can find that we can look inside the children, right? And we can see what's down here, that it's Stone Cold Professor, right? The anchor tag that's inside of there, which you can see is right here. Okay, this anchor tag right here on line 11. And if we did that for all of them, we're not going to bother, but you can see I've got all 3 of the LIs there. So it's an array. I've got to loop through it before I can do anything like add a class to it. So we come here, and I don't need to print that anymore. And let's go ahead and move the paragraph up next to it, and then we'll keep these on their own little groups here. So we're going to do a loop. Well, there is a for loop, which is a normal one we've learned before, right? For I equals 0, and then I is less than LIs dot length, and then we do I plus plus. And I can just write in here inside of the for loop, I can say LIs dot class name dot add, and I want to add the class name that I believe I called it breathe, right? So that should do it. That should just add the class name called breathe, which will style it up the way that I want it. And what it's going to do, you'll notice that you can't see the actual bullet points here. The reason for that is because my CSS reset on the very first line here, margin 0, padding 0, that scoots them all the way off to the side off the screen, right? But I've made this down here called breathe, and it adds a margin to it. So it gives it breathing room between the spaces and to the left of it and the right of it. So when I refresh it and I click style me, cannot read properties of undefined reading add. Let me see, did I goof up here? I did. I do that all the time. Class list, not class name. Sorry about that. Okay, let's try that again. Style me. All right, folks. I also forgot to put, because we're looping through an array, I need to get the ith element as we go through, right? That's the whole reason we did the loop. All right, let's try that again. One more time. And there we go. We get the styling that we wanted there, right? Okay, now, the whole reason I wanted to show you this, though, is to show you that there is a better way. And my brain was half thinking about the other way we're about to do, and so I was mixing my syntax a little bit. There's this idea called a for of loop. It's kind of like a for each loop, if you're familiar with that from other languages. Now, JavaScript also has a for each loop. We're going to learn about that later. It's a little different than what we're doing here. A lot different. So here's the syntax for a for of loop. It's for L, or whatever variable you want, of LIs. Now, the LIs has to be whatever array you're looping through, which is line 6 LIs. So the way this works, we're looping through the LIs array. With each iteration of the loop, L, or whatever variable you put there, gets assigned with the next element in the array. So first time through, L will be equal to whatever the 0th element of the array is. Second time through the loop, it'll be equal to the 1th element, and then the 2th, and so on down the line. So now we just refer to L in the loop. So we just want to do L dot class list dot add, and we put the breathe class on there, like so. So we no longer need this one. This is the loop here, right? So let's refresh it, and we'll see that clicking the button still works. All right, so we can get rid of that now. And by the way, the reason I don't have curly braces here is because, like most curly brace based languages, if you only have one line of code, you don't need the curly braces. So we can put them there or not. I'm just going to move this up to one line though, because it's nice and clean like that. So now we've got the LIs, and we use the get elements by tag name to do it. So next up, let's take a look at the query selector all. This one is the one that's most powerful, and it's pretty much the only one I use these days because it's super powerful. So what I want to do is select the strongs that are inside of an A, that are inside of an LI, inside of a UL, right? If I wanted to target that strong in my CSS, we know what we would do, right? I could do something like this. I could go UL, LI, anchor, strong, and then I could write my CSS right there, right? Well, you can use that exact target in this document.querySelectorAll. So let's take a look at how that would go. Let's go with we'll say bold LIs, something like that. It's going to be document.querySelectorAll, and then I just put in there that target. That's CSS exactly how you would write it in your CSS. And now we're just going to loop through it. It's exactly the same. It's going to grab all of the things that match that, which in this situation here is only those two, this one and this one, right? And it's going to add a class to the strongs right there, and that'll style those up, right? It's not going to affect this strong or this strong. And the class name, let's check and see, it's called bullets, all right? So all we do, make a for of loop. We'll call it b of bold LIs, and we'll say b.class list.add bullets. And that's it. Because remember, these bold LIs, it's the strong tag. It's the end of the selection, right? Click Style Me. You'll notice it has a special style applied to it right there, right? But it didn't affect this bold, or I believe the word cold up here is also bold. Well, I have one for that, okay? And it's called heading. And again, if we look here, how could I target that? There's no ID there. Well, I can do a query selector, right? So let's do it. We'll just call it h equal document.querySelector. Now in this case, there's only one, so I'm not going to bother with the all, and that way I don't have to mess with an array. It's just one particular one. So what is the target I'm selecting? The h1 strong, right? And then I can just say here, h.classList.add heading. And that will style that one with the heading right there. I refresh, click it, and now we can see it's navy and it's got a little text shadow on it. Okay, we're getting there. Let's close this out now. Let's apply these next, the body and the main right here. And we don't even have a main, so let's make that. Thought I put that on there already, I guess I didn't. So we'll get that. So now we got a main tag there, okay? So real quick, we can do this. And again, it's just the same pattern over and over again. So let main equal document.querySelector main. And there's only one main tag. And so I don't have to worry about using all to pick them all up. And I don't even have to bother making it two separate lines like we did on line 13. I can directly right here, just class list.add, and I believe I called it focus, right? Don't know that's going to change much. It'll be more noticeable when we put the body on, but it may have changed it a little bit. So let's go ahead and do the same thing with the body here. And again, I can just get the body by selecting the body, right? Because remember, I can select the body in my CSS just by typing body, right? I can target the body just like that. That's all we're doing there, because a tag is a target in CSS. And this was called layout. Let's see what that's doing. Let's refresh, style me. We may have an error. Let's take a peek. And we do. Oh yeah, I goofed up. I tried to call it main twice. So that should be, in fact, I don't even need to give these variable names. We don't even need to bother with that because we're not going to be calling the variable names, right? Right here, in other words, instead of doing let h equal this and then h dot whatever, I could have done this directly like this and not even set it to a variable. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what we did in line 14 and 15. So now let's check it out. Refresh, click Style Me, and we're getting somewhere. Okay. Now you can see the font has changed. I've got a background now. The main is white. I want to shrink the main up, so we're going to modify the CSS a little bit here. In the main focus, we're going to just set this width to about 75% or percent, and we'll give it a margin top of like 10 pixels, right? Okay, so refresh, Style Me. So this is looking pretty good. We've got, this is styled up now. This paragraph is styled up. We probably should shrink that down to a little bit too big. And then we want to do something with those links. I don't like those links there. Okay, so let's go back here and let's change the paragraph down here to a smaller, like 25 pixels. style me. That's pretty good. All right, let's target those links there and see what we can do with those. If we look at our HTML structure, we just have 3 links there. In this particular case, I could just target all the links using the get elements by tag name, or I could use query selector all and target them using CSS selectors. Either way will work. And in this case, I'm going to go with using CSS selectors because there could be a case where later we add an anchor tag somewhere else that we don't want to style the same way. So let's go over here. And in this case, we will need to make a variable because we're going to make an array that we have to loop through, right? So just come down here, let anchors equal document.query selector all, and we're going to go ul li anchor. That's pretty specific. And then we'll just do for a of anchors, and we're going to just say a.classname class list dot add, and I have no idea what the class is called. Let's take a peek here. I think I called it anchors actually. Yeah, I did. So anchors, right? That should do it. Let's take a peek, refresh, style me, and there we go. We got rid of the underlines, and you see now when I hover, I have this nice little hover effect over it. And I think I just want to do that on the bottom, right? So I have a border here dotted. Let's just do that on the bottom. Refresh it, style me, and now you can just see there's an underline effect there, right? If I click style me again, it doesn't do anything. So maybe we want to consider toggling back and forth. Maybe we want to change that to say unstyle me, right? So one thing we could do is do an if statement to see what condition we're in here, right? Maybe we can put a attribute here, custom one, attribute, or sorry, call it maybe state. And we can say unstyled is our state. And then we'll change the state to styled when we toggle back and forth. So we come in here and we just let btn equal document.get element. Actually, we'll go query selector and we'll get the button. And then we'll do a switch on the button. And actually, it's going to be on the button's attributes, right? We want to look at the attributes and we want to look at the data state element. If that's fuzzy to you, go back and watch the previous lectures video. Node value, right? That node value will be either unstyled or whatever we decide to change it to. So here we go again with the switch statement, and we're just going to have case unstyled and we'll have case styled, and we'll have the default be the same as the case styled. So what do? Well, we have all of this stuff right here that we would just do in the case of it being unstyled, right? So let's just take a peek here. We'll put that up here, gooch all that over, delete it from there, and we'll put a line break, or not a line break, but a switch break, I guess. And the other thing we want to do is just change this to be styled, and we want to change this text here, right? So how do we do that? Well, we already have the button as an object right here. So I can access that button. I can just say button.text content is equal to unstyle me, right? We're changing the text. And then we'll also do button, like basically this whole thing right here, right? Let's just copy and paste that. And we're going to set its node value equal to styled. So we'll be toggling back and forth between styled and unstyled, right? So let's try this out. Refresh, and that's what it looks like. And we click that. Now it says unstyle me right there. And if I click it again, nothing will happen. But we need to take care of that in this section down here. Now, to make things a little bit cleaner here, we're going to move all of our declarations here outside of the switch so that we can access them anytime we want. We don't want to have to declare things twice, right? So we can move this up there, and we can move this up there, and this one, all these variables here. Okay, so those are now function level, and we can still impact them down here in the case statement. So let's just run it. Make sure we didn't break anything. I click style me, it still works, no problem. But now you see this here, we basically have to duplicate this code here, but change everything from class list add to class list remove, right? So we're going to loop through the LIs, which is from line 5, but we're going to reverse everything, right? So we'll just copy this whole thing here. And remember, we're going to just keep styled and default having the same code. So we copy that in there. And then all we're going to do is just take all these adds. I'm just going to do multiple selects here, and we're going to remove every one of those. So we change those to remove. I think I got them all. And then we're going to set the text content for style me, And then we're going to set the node value back to unstyle. And that should do the trick. Pretty small code there. Let's just clean that up a little bit. 45 lines. Refresh. Style me. Unstyle me. There we go. Back and forth. Nowhere, you may notice, did I claim that this is good style, or that it looks good, or that it's nothing, right? This is not good style. This is just to demonstrate the point here of how to use these different functions, right? Maybe we should style the button, maybe this, maybe that. None of that matters. The real thing is I just want to show you that we use getElementById. That's when we know that ID was called call to action, which means it targeted this specific thing right here. And then here we just did query selector, which means give me a button, right? Well, even if I had multiple buttons, it would only grab the first one, right? Then we have getElementsByName. Well, this will grab all of the elements, all the LIs, no matter what their lineage is, how deeply they're nested or whatever, it would just grab all the LIs and it becomes an array. So we have to loop through that array to do anything to it, which is what's happening on line 14. Then the query selector all, we can just pass in any CSS selector. And that's what we did on 2 different occasions here. And it also comes back as an array and we just loop through it and do whatever we want to it. So this code, just like all the other lectures, this code is available in the lecture notes so you can look through it and make sure you understand it and that you don't have any questions with it. So that is it for this one. Take a look at these key points. Again, I'm not going to go through them. We've covered them all in the lecture, but know this, as always, if you know the answer to those questions, you're ready for the quiz and you've learned what you need to learn from this lecture. So thanks for attending class today, and we'll see you on the next one.